Turn this channel into your personal journal of the moon race. Every video is a page of history, and by following along to the very end, you'll truly grasp the immense price humanity has paid, the silent sacrifices that illuminated the path to cosmic discovery. In the dark shadow of the Cold War, as the world held its breath, the moon loomed above as both a promise and a challenge. For the United States and the Soviet Union, it was more than a distant rock in the sky. It was the ultimate prize, a symbol of technological supremacy and national pride. But behind the glory and the iconic images of boot prints in lunar dust, the race to the moon was paved with sacrifice, heartbreak, and loss. The story of this epic pursuit is not just one of triumph, but of tragedy, a legacy built on the courage and sometimes the suffering of those who dared to reach beyond the world they knew. From the very beginning, the risks were staggering. Space exploration in the 1960s was an uncertain venture, pushing the limits of human ingenuity and endurance. Every mission, every test, every new rocket launched into the heavens was a leap into the unknown. The men and women who pursued these dreams, astronauts, cosmonauts, engineers, scientists, were all too aware of the dangers, but their determination was unshakable. They understood that progress sometimes demands the highest price. For America, that price was made devastatingly clear on January 27, 1967, during a routine test of the Apollo 1 spacecraft. Inside the sealed command module, 3 astronauts, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee, prepared for their upcoming mission. No one imagined that in a matter of seconds, a spark would ignite the oxygen-rich atmosphere, transforming the capsule into an inferno. Trapped by a hatch that opened inward and unable to escape the rapidly spreading flames, all 3 men perished. The fire was merciless. It took just moments to end 3 lives, but its impact would echo for decades. The investigation that followed revealed a deadly chain of mistakes: flammable materials, inadequate wiring, a hazardous test environment, and a culture that sometimes prized speed over safety. The loss of Apollo 1 was not simply a technical malfunction. It was a profound failure of foresight and caution. Yet, from this grief emerged resolve. NASA halted its feverish pace, re-examined every detail, and rebuilt the Apollo program with safety at its core. The lessons learned in tragedy became the foundation for future success, ensuring that when Neil Armstrong finally set foot on the moon, it was not just a victory for science, but a testament to the sacrifices made along the way. But the story of American sacrifice did not end with Apollo 1. For every astronaut who reached the moon, many others faced danger on Earth. Test pilots and astronaut candidates lost their lives in aircraft crashes and training accidents. Each death a sobering reminder that the quest for the moon was fraught with peril even before leaving the ground. Neil Armstrong himself narrowly escaped death while training in a lunar landing research vehicle, ejecting just seconds before a catastrophic crash. The margin between life and death was razor thin, and every mission teetered on that edge. Meanwhile, across the world, the Soviet Union pursued its own lunar ambitions, shrouded in secrecy and driven by relentless political pressure. The Soyuz 1 mission, in April 1967, was meant to be a triumph, the first manned flight of a new spacecraft, a bold step closer to the moon. But almost immediately, disaster struck. Power failures, faulty controls, and a stubborn solar panel left cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov fighting for survival. As he re-entered Earth's atmosphere, the parachute system failed. The capsule plummeted to the ground and crashed with devastating force. Komarov, alone and helpless, became the first person to die during a spaceflight. The wreckage and the charred remains of a brave pioneer told a story of technical flaws overlooked in the rush to succeed. The tragedy of Soyuz 1 was compounded by a chilling truth. The very next day, a second Soyuz mission was scheduled to launch with an identical design flaw in its parachute system. Had Komarov not died, more lives would surely have been lost. His death was both a personal catastrophe and a grim warning, prompting a pause and a fundamental re-evaluation of Soviet procedures. It was a sacrifice that, in its own terrible way, saved others from a similar fate. 4 years later, the Soyuz 11 mission would bring another heartbreak. After a triumphant 3-week stay aboard the world's first space station, Salyut 1, cosmonauts Georgy Dobrovolsky, Viktor Patsayev, and Vladislav Volkov prepared to return home. Their descent seemed routine, but as rescuers opened the hatch, they found all 3 men lifeless in their seats. A tiny valve, jarred open during re-entry, had vented the module's air into space. In less than 2 minutes, the crew lost consciousness. Within seconds or more, they were gone. The decision to forego pressure suits made to squeeze 3 men into the small capsule proved fatal. These tragedies forced both superpowers to confront the limits of their technology and the fallibility of their systems. Design changes, stricter safety protocols, and a new respect for redundancy and human factors became the new norm. From the redesign of Apollo's command module to the mandatory use of pressure suits on Soviet launches, every painful lesson was etched into the hardware and the culture of spaceflight. The loss of life was not in vain. It propelled a transformation in how missions were planned and executed, making future journeys to the moon and beyond safer. Beyond the immediate loss of life, there were other, quieter sacrifices. The Soviet N-1 rocket, their answer to America's Saturn V, failed spectacularly in all 4 of its launches, never once reaching orbit. Each failure consumed vast resources and shattered dreams. The lunar series of unmanned probes, too, met with frequent disaster, their wreckage often lost in the silence of space. These setbacks, though less visible than the deaths of astronauts and cosmonauts, marked the end of Soviet hopes for a manned lunar landing. What survives, decades later, is a dual legacy. The race to the moon is celebrated for its daring, its innovation, and its boldness. But it is also remembered for its cost. The names of those lost, Grissom, White, Chaffee, Komarov, Dobrovolsky, Patsayev, Volkov, are more than footnotes in history. They are a solemn reminder that every giant leap is built on the courage and sometimes the grief of those who came before. Today, as new missions prepare to revisit the moon, the lessons of those early sacrifices endure. The Artemis program, built on the bones of Apollo, proceeds with deliberate caution, each step a tribute to the hard-won knowledge of the past. The moon, once the battleground of superpowers, has become a symbol of shared human aspiration and resilience. The story of the lunar race is not just a tale of conquest. It is, above all, a story of humanity's willingness to risk, to endure, and to mourn in the relentless pursuit of discovery. The glory of the moon is forever shadowed by the memory of those who gave everything to reach it, and whose loss ensures that when we return, we do so with wisdom, humility, and hope.